All right, good afternoon, CNMI. We are here at the NMI News Service, just waiting for the weather update for Tropical Storm Man-Yi to get started. So just hang out. Judith, what are the conditions in Saipan? It's pretty nice right now. It's a little bit overcast. I have the weather cam inside, but maybe I'll move it outside just so you guys can take a look outside. I'll put something out there for you after I can get this thing started and I can swap back and forth. I'd hate for you guys to miss the beginning of this briefing while I do that. You know, right now, I got it inside as like a little side view of what's going on over here so you can see what we're doing. But we're going to keep refreshing to make sure that we can get the start of this. We don't want you to miss a moment of it. But that's what we're hanging out for right now. This is going to be the live tropical storm weather briefing. Tropical Storm Man-Yi for 25 West. And we're just about to start. Get this up on the big screen for you guys. Get the volume going for you as well. So just sit tight.
Good afternoon. I am Science and Operations Officer Brandon Eidlet with the latest information on Tropical Storm Man-Yi as it approaches from the east. And we had a couple of updates overnight, so just want to give you the latest information. We have seen a lot of stability in the forecast track where we have been tracking a continued southward drift from the northern Marianas across Saipan and Tinian down to Rota and then to Guam overnight. A lot of the model guidance and the forecast tracks continue to center around Guam and to Rota, so that does lend to increasing confidence that we're going to see Tropical Storm Man-Yi passing in the lower Marianas. So we're still looking at a more of a westward motion in the past few hours, and we're looking at either a steady state intensity or a slightly intensifying tropical storm passing through the islands Wednesday. So as of this morning, Saipan and Tinian were shown just outside of the tropical storm force winds, but the latest forecast track that just came out in about an hour ago has reflected a slight northward shift. So that does hint at tropical storm winds reaching Saipan or at least Tinian. So still a very small footprint wind field on this tropical storm. So these little shifts will bring either a much stronger winds, much heavier rainfall, or it may bring a significant reduction in winds any location could experience. We're still looking at a Wednesday storm as Tropical Storm Man-Yi passes through the Marianas. So where are we right now? For Guam and Rota, we have a tropical storm warning that was issued this morning at 8 o'clock. So those tropical storm force winds are expected within the next 24 hours. We're looking at an onset beginning around tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, sometime after sunrise through mid-late morning. Tinian and Saipan are still with a tropical storm watch. We're going to be watching that very closely, and I'll show you some of the things that we're looking at in the visible satellite imagery. So the wide view, we got Guam right here in the middle. We've got our tropical storm approaching from the east. We have the other tropical storm, 27W, is continuing off toward the Philippines. But there's a couple things I want to draw your attention to. Christian, come on in a little bit closer. And so here we have Tinian and Saipan up in the top, and we've got a little bit of shear coming in on this low level circulation. So you can see that right in the low levels, very exposed. And then all the heavier showers and thunderstorms are pushing off to the south and southeast. So what does that mean? Well, one thing is there is that northward shift that I was just mentioning with the latest forecast track. And that does put the emphasis closer to Rhoda. It does extend northward the envelope of tropical storm winds. When a sheared system is sheared like this, it does kind of hold the intensity at bay. But we're going to be watching to see if any more deep convection starts flaring up near the center that could show a little bit more dynamics at play. So we'll go ahead and get the wide out view. So how do we get to where we are now? Initially, we are looking at a tropical depression passing through the Marianas, but things changed Sunday and Monday. So the easiest way to look at these graphics, where you see these red lines, that is increased, that is significant wind shear aloft. So tropical systems, when they are trying to develop, do not like wind shear. And so initially, tropical depression, tropical storm Manyi was right on that border. But as it passed a little bit more south and west, and then more favorable conditions developed, going from Sunday to Monday, the tropical storm went into a more favorable environment that allowed some intensification. So that is why we're seeing that tropical storm passing through the Marianas. So this is the latest forecast track. Advisory number 13, this is fresh off the press, 1 p.m., so only 1 hour old. And so going from this morning, we've lifted just a little bit to the north. Not a surprise. We anticipate these little bobbles, little shifts in the track, but ultimately what that means is now Tinian is within the scope of those tropical storm force winds. And so could that trend continue, or might it just drift back southward? Well, right now the focus is we got this tropical storm moving in from the east, and so don't let your guard down. If you need to prepare, now's the time to do it. Again, the lower Marianas, Rhoda and Guam, right there in the center of that shaded area, Tinian and Saipan, still within the ball field of getting these tropical storm force winds. Not much has changed on the wind, tropical storm wind probabilities. Guam is still sitting at 50, about 60% chance of tropical storm winds. Same thing for Rhoda. And so those numbers are increasing very slowly, and they should continue to increase as the tropical storm Manyi approaches. We're still looking at a very small chance we could see those winds reaching 50 knots, so 58 miles per hour, considered a severe tropical storm. Slight chance, but the latest forecast track does show a little bit more of a slower intensification as it's pushing through the Marianas. And then again, with the most likely arrival time of tropical storm winds, we're looking at Wednesday morning. So just a couple of hours earlier than what we were looking at with advisory number 12 as of 7 o'clock this morning. So what do we have? Watches, warnings, and advisories for the Marianas. Tropical storm warning for Guam and Rhoda in coastal waters. And then we also have the tropical storm watch for the northern islands and the neighboring waters. Small craft advisory, we're looking at a flash flood watch for especially Guam. We're going to be considering the data the next couple of hours if we need to look at a flash flood watch for Rhoda, or maybe Tinian and Saipan with some of those heavier showers. And so I'm going to skip through this, but for Guam, some of the impacts. Tropical storm warning. Winds, we're looking at the tropical storm force winds developing Wednesday morning. We could see a peak reaching to around 50 to 60 miles per hour. Now, those numbers might shift a little bit farther down if the forecast track lifts farther northward. But in this ballpark, 50 to 60 miles per hour, gusts will be considerably stronger, and that's what we need to really be preparing for. Any of your tents, canopies, tarps outside, trash bins. Keep in mind, things will go blowing in the winds. Rain, 4 to 8 inches, and seas and surf will be increasing. And so I'll be turning it over to Patrick Dahl very shortly to give a few more details on the rest of the Marianas. So, Dahl, go ahead.
Well, as Brandon was saying, we've been watching the center get exposed, and over the last couple of frames, like he's mentioned, these systems can wiggle back and forth, and we're starting to see new thunderstorm development near the center, especially right here with these taps going up. So if this continues through the night, through the evening and into tonight, that's going to favor strengthening. Brendan was mentioning hot off the press data. Well, these are 4 different models we look at. Of course, here's the Marianas. And this data just came in the last 20 minutes. We were expecting the southwest turn to west, and we're expecting it to turn back to the southwest. Some of the data, in this case, the new GFS model, actually has it coming to shore near Telefofo. But the other models will likely deviate in their respective tracks. So that's kind of one of the things we'll be watching tonight, seeing when this wiggles and which model is closer. But really, the uptake's really kind of the same. It's only small changes in track. So when we're starting to get into these brighter blues, this is showing near strong tropical force winds. And to kind of give a better perspective, as adults, one thing we get to do with being a meteorologist is we get to color. So I'm going to load up the wind grids here and kind of show you what we're expecting. Now it'll just re-emphasize what Brandon was saying on the winds. So in where is it? In some of the data, we're seeing it's going to be a lot wetter. So we're looking at the possibility of maybe issuing a flood watch. And here's the wind grid data. But here's our center. Again, here's Guam, Rota, Tinian, Saipan. And just a slight track can really get you into this brighter white. This is going to be the strongest area of winds. And some of the wind gusts in the models are showing upwards of 66 knots. That's about 76 miles an hour. So low-end typhoon gusts, 70 to 80 miles an hour, similar to what Brandon was saying. Now, as this occurs, we're also going to see a significant increase in our sea heights. And so that's going to be presenting a coastal erosion and inundation concern. And right now, again, Guam, Rota, Tinian, Saipan, we're seeing seas in the 15 to 17 foot range, which is fairly consistent given the various models and the forecast wind speed. So things are going to rapidly deteriorate as we go through the. Even if this system stays what we call asymmetric, where just the east half is covered by convection, even as it goes by, that ramp up into the winds can be fairly quickly. So folks really want to make sure that you're taking time today through sunset to finish your preparations and get prepared for the storm, because it looks like it's going to be an interesting night and tomorrow morning for sure. And with that, I'll turn it back to Brandon.
Thank you. Yeah, just to bring back to Rota, we're still looking at those worst conditions, strongest winds and gusts will be during the Wednesday time frame. So as Patrick alluded to, conditions will deteriorate around sunrise Tuesday morning, give or take a few hours, and then continue to degrade through the morning. Locally heavy rain, we could be looking at upping those rainfall amounts 3 to 5 inches. Could be driving those up a little bit depending on the future forecast tracks. For all the Marianas, these are the conditions that you want to take in consideration again as you consider your preparations and how you should prepare your houses, your neighborhood, your apartments, what could go blowing in these stronger wind gusts. A lot of times these gusts will not be persistent, but it's when those heavy showers come down, those winds will definitely pick up very quickly and almost come out of the blue. So that is a concern. For folks listening out of Yap State, just keep an eye on the local forecast. Keep an eye on these tropical cyclone tracks. There is going to be that continued west-southwest nudge as it exits the Marianas. We've seen some shifting north and south, but we have Feist, Ulithi, and Yap just south of the track. So keep an eye. What perhaps you'll get by with no impacts from this passing storm well to your north, but keep an eye on your local forecast, and if there's any increasing threat for your area, we'll be communicating that very fully. And just to recap on our forecast and advisory cycle. So we are right now at 2 p.m. We just updated the public advisory. We'll have the local statement. So what do we expect and when for Guam, Rota, Tinian, Saipan, and all the local forecasts will be updated. We'll have an updated position at 5 p.m. and then the next forecast track will come out by the J2WC at about 7 p.m. So thank you so much for joining. I did see one question. Will it be as bad as Mawar? And so that is a good question. We're getting that from several people. We do not see that. There's none of the model data supports an intensity of what we saw with Mawar. Mawar was a very well-developed, very large system, even days before it came to the Marianas. This one is sheared. It is poorly organized in the grand scheme of things, and it is on our doorstep. So yes, we could see some intensification. No, we don't expect anything on the order of Mawar. So continue to send us questions on Facebook. We're going to have people around the clock, of course, responding to your questions, and that's what we're here for. So we'll be glad to take your questions later on throughout the day. Take care. Have a good afternoon.
All right, that's the update that we just received from the National Weather Service in Guam. Appreciate that. That was Brandon Eidlet and Patrick Dahl over there giving us all the update from the National Weather Service. We updated a little bit in the ticker to give you guys some of the updates on what they just told us. Basically, they expect the weather to just deteriorate overnight, and the weather to be a little bit nasty, mostly for Guam and Rota tomorrow. Winds can be intense over here tomorrow, but what we're really looking at in Guam, where they expected the winds to be 50 to 60 miles per hour sustained, with gusts as high as 70 to 80 miles per hour. That's pretty intense. Here in the CNMI, it'd be a bit less than that, but again, Rota and Guam. Actually, the gusts in Guam, 70 to 80 miles per hour. The gusts in Rota, 60 to 70 miles per hour. Is that 10 miles per hour going to make a difference? Well, we'll find out. But that's the latest that we got from them, and we look to get more from there. Hold on, let me get out of here for you. 1 second. And to get you guys let you see what the update looks like. But that is, again, from the source themselves. Now, we're just going to put something else up here on the screen on the side. But that's direct from the source. That's the guys, the right guys. So, excuse me. Guam and Rota in a different state than Saipan and Tinian. It's a tropical storm warning for Guam and Rota. The tropical storm force winds expected Wednesday morning and afternoon, peaking in the afternoon between 50 and 60 miles per hour, with gusts as high as 70 to 80 in Guam, and gusts as high as 60 to 70 in Rota. But that's as up to tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday afternoon. You can see it on the bottom of the screen right now. Where it says exactly what we're looking at for Rota, tropical storm force winds, 50 to 60 miles per hour in mid-afternoon Wednesday, with gusts up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. That's if it stays on its current track and doesn't deviate at all. So we'll have to wait and see how that happens. We're only going to give you the info that we're getting from the National Weather Service and from our local emergency operations center. I mean, sure, we might show you some other stuff just to see what it looks like. But those videos that we got from the satellite, the Himawari satellite, incredible. Normally, when we see these big storms, we see that big cluster. Like, don't let my use of terminology here make it sound like I'm a meteorologist, because I'm not. But they talk about that deep convection. But instead, what happened is the wind, the high-speed winds, sheared off the top of that storm. But you can still see the circulation on there. And it's not nearly as deep or as intense, but it looks like by tomorrow afternoon, Guam and Rota might have something different to say about that, and we'll see how it goes from there. All right, guys. Well, that's what I've got for you. If there's another update, then I will bring it to you, and if there is not, well, then I'll just give you the updates what we have here. If there's a live update, a live video, we'll post it here. If it is just a bulletin that comes out, we'll make sure we post all that stuff here. So Thanks. I don't have any updates from PSS regarding schools. Great question, Tobot. We'll reach out and find out if there's anything from them. But for right now, that's what we have. And we'll keep giving you the info from the governor's office as it becomes approached. As it becomes correct. And I appreciate it as a... I appreciate the messages that came in over here, too. Especially when I'm hurrying to try and get this little ticker on here and I misspell approach. Hey, guys, I definitely appreciate your help. So hopefully everyone who watches from here on out thinks I can spell pretty well. I love it. All right. That's what we got. So we'll see you guys later. When there's a new bulletin, we'll put it out. And if we get some info from the governor's office or from public schools or from anyone else, we'll keep you guys up to date. Hey, guys, it's okay if you make a misspelling. Just own up to it. That's the way to do it and fix it. So good to go.